Hey, welcome back to Vaguely Adults. You got one of your hosts, Sarana, here, and
Shirley, hello.
it's another late night binge stockpiling of episodes. But we got a good one for you this time. It's all about our Stockholm syndrome with the city that we live in.
Mm-hmm. Important part to that sentence.
Yeah. Very important part of the sentence. But why don't you kick it off with what are your feelings?
Okay.
Where do you live? Just the borough.
Okay. Yeah, that's smart. Don't stalk me. I mean, I'm sure you can find that information everywhere.
Yeah, please don't look for it though.
I'm not that interesting. Hi, my name is Shirley and I live in Manhattan. No.
Hi, my name is Sarana and I live in Brooklyn. If you can't tell based on how I am dressed.
Facts.
Yes.
Brooklynite. But yeah, I was born and raised in Manhattan. Up until graduating college, I really didn't leave the borough. Like, the Bronx was the most that I explored.
Yeah.
The only place I explored in Queens was Jackson Heights, because that's where all the Colombian and Ecuadorian food is. Then I had a friend who lived in Astoria, so I went there one time, and then she accidentally drove me home once. She was supposed to just drive me to the train.
I don't know if you know, but that's a drive.
And she accidentally got on the highway, and she was like, well, I'm already here, so I'm just taking you home.
Might as well, yeah.
But yeah, it was like an hour drive. It wasn't that long. It was like a 30-minute drive, but it was a long drive. And it was like 1 a.m. But I went to high school in Harlem. I went to middle school in Harlem. I went to elementary. I don't know why I went backwards, but I went to elementary in Washington Heights, which is where I live. And Brooklyn was like never crossed my mind. I don't think I actually had been to Brooklyn until I got to college.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or Staten Island.
Okay, well, we don't.
Or Long Island.
Listen, the islands. I'm okay with. I'm very okay with not. Anyways, so Brooklyn and Manhattan. Yeah, those are the two places that I spent most of my time. Well, I spend most of my time.
Yeah.
I went to both elementary, middle school, high school right here in Brooklyn, and college, university in Lower Manhattan. Lower Manhattan. Yeah, college, university years. That was 4 years just in and out of the city, commuting, because I lived at home, didn't go away for that experience. And my whole life just kind of revolved around Central to Lower Manhattan for 5 days of the week, sometimes weekends when we would hang out and stuff like that. I would say 90% of my time from 2014 to 2018 was in Manhattan. So that was my stomping ground. That's where I was at. Everyone was up there.
That was just most of my life. Like, I didn't even go past Midtown Manhattan most of my life because I went to school.
Yeah.
And everything. All my friends were in Harlem, which is like upper Manhattan, like super, not like bougie upper Manhattan, like not like the 60s. No, like
we don't have money for those unless we're going to the museums on the free museum days or the pay as you wish days.
Yes, which are now every day if you're a New York State resident.
Yes, bless up with our.
But they still make you feel bad for not paying the full price. Like,
I don't care. I pay taxes for
paying?
Here.
I'm like $5.
Oh, I put down a 10. I'm just like, that's an even number. It sounds okay.
Oh no, no, I paid. Bro, I went with my friend once. First time I ever went to a pay as you wish museum, and she's like, "All right, yeah, we can pay whatever we want." And I was like, "Okay, great." I pulled out like $5, and she was like, "Bro, I got this." And she puts down a penny on the counter. She's like, $2.
Bro, that's an energy I would love to radiate. Not confident enough to.
Absolutely not. The lady gave us like the most vicious look, and I felt bad.
Dude, you have multi-million donors.
Yeah.
We're students. Speaking about that, we're not going to pay that much money.
And it was for like, we went for a project. Like, she had to write a paper or something like that. But so most of my time was spent in like super upper Manhattan, like above the 130s. Because like when you say upper Manhattan, people think like the 56th Street.
Yeah, I honestly think Central Park, not even upper Central Park. I think Central like Park and lower. Yeah. Like Columbus Circle area.
Yeah. So, and that's like in 59.
Yeah.
So when I say upper Manhattan, because I grew up quite literally in the uppermost of Manhattan, I think of like the 160s, the 200s and all those. So very, very far. That's where I spent most of my time. Then I got to college, which was in Lower Manhattan, the Flatiron District, which I didn't know why it was called that. And then someone was like, yeah, this building is a big deal. And I was just like, oh.
It looks like a flat iron. I don't know, bud. It's pretty self-explanatory.
Yeah. And I was just like, okay, cool. Went to school there. And so then I started exploring Lower Manhattan more because then suddenly I had friends that were from all over.
Yeah.
Then we graduated, and where we graduated was in Brooklyn.
I woke up about an hour and a half before graduation. I got ready. I hopped on the train, full graduation garb. I took myself to graduation. Only a couple, it was literally 15 minutes away from me.
Yeah, no.
On the train.
It's an hour and a half drive for me.
No, I grabbed the train because like my folks, they were going to come, they were going to drive. And I was like,
I'm not dealing with that. Yeah, parking was a nightmare that day.
It would have still been easier had they taken the train with me.
Or it also rained that day, though.
Yo, I did my hair that morning.
So did I.
By the time I got to graduation, I was a different person. Like, it was wrecked. Yeah. Having curly hair when it rains or is super humid, it's
not a fun time.
Yeah.
And this was before I started taking care of my hair. So I didn't really start like accepting my curls until like last semester of college.
I'm still going through that journey.
Oh yeah, no, I finally found myself. My hair looks amazing.
No lie.
But during this time my hair was super dry from all the like heat that I used to put on it. And so that day it rains and I had straightened my hair, more heat, love it. I had straightened my hair and it was just a poofy mess. I wonder if I can, I'm sure I can find a picture that you can show, but like my hair was super poofy.
Yeah, I think I've deleted most of graduation day pictures. I did not look good.
Oh, neither did I. And the person I sat next to no longer talks to me. So a lot of my pictures are with her.
Yeah. It was, for the record, a wonderful friendship when it was.
Oh, absolutely.
And it's just that we're, no longer on the same path.
Yeah, so, for sure. No resentment, no anything. Yeah. Just we no longer speak.
Hakuna Matata,
Yeah,
yeah, but to the reasons why, like, we hate this city.
Yeah.
So much of our pivotal life moments, happened here.
In the city.
Are happening here.
And suddenly I'm in Brooklyn all the time.
Yeah, well.
Graduated in Brooklyn.
Graduated in Brooklyn.
First
shouts out to Barclays Center.
Yes. First job out of college in Brooklyn. Second job out of college, Brooklyn. And I actually work like not that far from Barclays Center. So if that's that's an understatement if you say anything. If that's not like some kind of universal sign about something, we haven't
figured it out yet, but
yeah, I mean, I'm sure I'll get there.
Yeah, no, my job out of college, well, I was still working at the advertising firm for a while, so I was in and out of Midtown Manhattan, literally Grand Central every day, 5 days a week. Oh, what a time. Grand Central is one of the most beautiful stations that I've ever experienced in my life, except for when I went to the UK and I saw the stations in Scotland and stuff like that. Just a totally different vibe. But, for New York City stations, Grand Central is definitely one of those, you must go and see the art, because it is, when you stand into the central part of the station, you look up and you see all those, ceiling murals and whatnot, and the detailing and, the stone, and it's just a beautiful place. I hated it.
When I think of Grand Central, all I see is Gossip Girl.
I've never watched that show, so yeah, a lot of people do put two and two together, yeah. But I was in and out there 5 days a week, and I was just so tired of the tourists walking and just stopping in the middle. Cool, I totally understand. Concrete jungle, wet dreams, tomato. But, dude, if you're gonna take photos,
stand to the side.
Please pivot your way to the side.
Yeah.
Don't
also just big groups. If you're a duo, all right, fine, you're not really taking up that much space. But when it's a big group that decides to stand in a line, and you're just bro, I know you're on vacation, but I'm trying to make it.
It's I'm already 20 minutes late to work. I need you to just not, because I'm booking it. I'm so sorry if I knock your child down, because
Starbucks in my hand, I'm late for work. You gotta let me through,
please.
But it's also it's wild because my cousins grew up upstate, so they grow up suburban style in a house with a backyard. Everything is quiet.
What a dream.
The neighbors that know each other. You go to high school with the same people you went to middle school with.
Oh yeah, no.
The whole small town vibe. And then you have me, city kid, me and my sister. And so I was literally telling Sarana earlier today, my cousin has a very hard time when he comes into the city because it's too noisy.
Yeah.
And he stayed the night at my apartment.
I mean, at this point,
yeah. Stays the night at my apartment, and he couldn't sleep. He was it's too noisy. It's weird here. But when I stayed the night at his house, it was too quiet.
Yeah, it's weird.
I couldn't I could hear the animals. I could hear the wind jostling the trees.
Animals. Crazy concept, those things. Animals.
There's so many of them. Like he had a lot of like foxes, and they used to freak me out. And he used to get a lot of snakes. And they're like so desensitized to it. They're like, oh, fox trail again.
Yeah, that's one thing I'm grateful for my upbringing in the island for as long as I could have, because I got really desensitized to most bugs, critters,
can't stand them.
small animals, things like that. And I come to the city and
Different
like
kind of critters.
A strand of fluff or a little poof of fluff goes through the air and everyone screams and disperses like jaws just dropped from the sky.
It's me. I'm the one dispersing.
And I found it so strange because so many of my friends, like, they were just so freaked out by bugs. Yeah. And I never understood it.
Can't stand bugs. I grew up in the city. And the only bugs that you see a lot of are roaches.
Yeah, I mean, I don't like them.
Roaches are gross. But you know what's...
Cockroaches are disgusting.
Water bugs are the worst. And they happen a lot in the city in the summertime because it gets hot. And then I've heard if it gets hot enough, they fly.
They get superpowers?
Yeah, like they have wings.
Okay, yeah, fair.
But like they're hidden under the shell. But when it gets extremely hot or humid, they're able to like... and like fly. And that thought freaks me out. And I had a Dominican friend who told me that, 'cause she was like, in DR, because it's so hot, they have a lot of flying water bugs. And when I tell you that I would literally die if a water bug flew my way, I don't think you understand. Like I would just collapse right there. Soul would eject from my body. Like
Casper just coming straight out. Yeah.
And just gone.
Interesting. I would literally manhandle snakes if I had to, if we were in a situation that there were snakes.
Okay.
As long as I know that they're not poisonous, I have no issue.
But that's my sister, right? I hate bugs. Can't stand them. The one bug she is afraid of are butterflies. So yes, please roast her in the comments.
No, but that's like a fear. Like,
it's wild to me. But like a spider, she will put in her hand like, oh, little guy, let's get you to a safer corner, or like take you outside.
Oh yeah, every time there's like a bug in the vicinity and someone's like, kill it, I'm like, no. Give me a cup and a piece of paper.
Yeah.
And like, let's put him in a plant.
Sister. Like,
or like, let's put him outside. Like, you don't need... Listen, there's a circle of life for the bugs. The bigger bugs eat the smaller bugs. As long as they're eating the mosquitoes, I'm happy.
Okay, but what is the point of roaches? They
oh,
have
no. Roaches
place.
Just... They could go.
They don't exist. And so like, a thing that frightens
they
me...
exist. No, they exist.
They have no reason for existing.
There we go. I was like...
I'm running on 3 hours of sleep.
Okay, this is the best time to record a podcast. Oh my god, my foot just made it in the shot. Note to editor, Sarana, please blur that part out. Thank you. No free content on this. Yeah.
It's not only... Yep.
Imagine Vaguely Adults OnlyFans one day. Who knows? Stick around long enough. We'll see. We'll see what happens.
But...
no promises though.
They're like, they'll survive an atomic bomb.
Oh yeah.
But like Raid roach spray will kill them.
And what am I inhaling? They're the stupidest way.
What am I inhaling though? Like, they will survive an atomic bomb, which will disintegrate me.
All right, but our Stockholm syndrome?
Oh, right.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't trade it for anything in the world. Like, that's what's crazy to me.
We know that we're living in a crapshoot.
It's literally trash.
When we say it's hot garbage in the summer, it is a fire pit of hot garbage in the summer. Like, the smells that we got today just walking like half a block.
And that's with masks on.
That's with masks on that has like good seals.
Yeah.
Like, we don't mess around. Yeah, we're both fully vaccinated. I mean, yeah, we're still kind of social distancing, but yeah, whatever. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Visiting other cities and like, when that was a thing that we could have done, and seeing like how well maintained their trash systems are and like how clean their streets are. And then you look at the city and you're like, I'm paying how much per month for rent to exist?
Dude, I lived in Ecuador for about 6 months. Call it a long vacation if you want. I lived there for 6 months. It was a time. I miss it. Damn, I should go back. But anyway,
are the borders open?
Yeah, they are.
Oh, sick.
They don't care for safety. But when I lived there, there's a lot of stray dogs in Ecuador. I don't know if any of you have ever been, but there's a lot of stray dogs.
I don't know if much of our audience has been.
Okay, this is...
Um,
I don't want to cancel people's experiences. I don't know. Maybe you went on vacation.
No, that's
People
fair.
surprise me.
That's fair.
Like,
yeah.
I have a coworker who I found out his wife is Ecuadorian.
Oh, wild.
And I was just like, what? And he's like, yeah, I'm also half Venezuelan. I was like, what? I thought you were just Russian. He's like, nah. But anyway, shout out to Mark.
I don't know him.
But there's a lot of stray dogs. And so here, there's not a lot of you don't see stray dogs in the city.
There's a lot more homeless people than anything else.
Yeah, but
which is there's
a lot of pets.
Yeah.
Like pet dogs. But they're on leashes. So you're supposed to pick up after them because they are your responsibility.
Yes.
But in Ecuador, these dogs don't have owners. So they're roaming around. But I can guarantee you that I could walk with my eyes shut 3 blocks and I would not step in any kind of dog feces. But if I took 2 steps in New York City,
oh, you're stepping in a variety.
I'd be covered in it.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's wild to me how we don't have stray dogs and people are so disgusting. But in a country where there's more stray dogs than there are people, like, there is no dog excrement on the floor anywhere, no anything. It doesn't smell bad. Like, it's bizarre. Would I trade this disgusting city for anything? No. Can I picture myself living Jesus, living?
Don't bring him into this.
Nah, he's my homie. We go
You're
way
sitting
back.
with Satan yourself.
Okay, fair enough.
We still have the Pope in the back somewhere just for
just chilling.
Yeah.
But like, I wouldn't trade it for like the suburban experience. I always wanted the high school suburban experience. Like, I wanted the football fields and the cheerleaders and the jocks and the lockers.
I think we wanted that. Well, okay. Another thing for another time is how a lot of New York City high schools don't have lockers.
Oh, or locker rooms.
Okay.
I literally went to gym in my school uniform.
Yeah, crazy time. Definitely a side topic for another time. Remind us if that's something you want to listen to. I think that's just because of what the media portrayed. And this can definitely go way deeper than that. But when you look at any sort of American, like, teen high schools-esque, centered thing, it's like that very cliched experience with the jocks and the nerds and school being so divided and everyone and having a place and knowing their place and blah blah blah. Well, not knowing their place, but like having their cliques and things like that. And it's very lavish and everyone's driving their cars into high school and stuff like that.
Which brings us into shows like Gossip Girl, right? People are like, is that really what the New York experience is like?
Oh, absolutely not.
Do you think we all come from rich parents? Like, no, my parents are immigrants, bro. Like,
yeah, I'm okay. First generation immigrant is the first person that came to the country.
Yeah,
I'm a first generation immigrant, right? I guess you can count it maybe as 1.5 because I did move here from another country, was born in another country, but have lived significant amount of my life in this country.
Yeah,
1.5, whatever you want to call it. But I grew up only looking at, this bright and sparkly city, and it's the center of all these big action movies, and almost everything happens in sparkly Times Square, and it's always so nice. And then you go and it smells like hot garbage, especially when, like, the manholes are smoking.
It's disgusting. And the train stations are even more disgusting.
Oh, it's...
So when you see people, like, they come on vacation and they have pictures, like, in the subways and in the trains, and I'm just like...
Yeah, please. Dude, the trains are disgusting.
Gross.
Like, even before COVID, I was always grossed out by the trains. Like, anything I would touch, I would sanitize my hands.
Absolutely.
Right? And then knowing when COVID hit and the pandemic was at a point where it was like, oh, so now we're sanitizing and cleaning our train cabins every night. Like, I'm sorry, I was paying how much per ride every day for how many years, and you weren't cleaning the publicly funded transportation that over millions and millions of New Yorkers take every single day? I'm sorry, what are we paying for?
Yep. We're paying for, like, useless renovations. They would, like, randomly close stations to renovate them, but they'd be closed for, like, 2 or 3. My train station that I needed to get to and from school was closed for 2 years.
Oh, dude, it was rough. We used to have to, like, walk. There was a time where we would walk all the way to the other side of Manhattan.
Yeah.
First of all, just to have more time together because we're just such great friends. And second of all, sometimes it was her only way of getting home and my way of killing time to not go home.
Yeah.
So
she would walk me, like, crazy far to get to
and then I would walk back, like, half to get 2 trains to try to get back home, which if I'd just gone home via where we left off at school, anyway, it would have been a lot easier, just say.
But it's also like it was under construction 2 years. It finally opened up. I was so excited. New station, 2 years of renovations, and I kid you not, 1 week later 1 week, 7 days, in case you did not know how many days were in a week. Half the turnstiles weren't working. The screen that they had just put up was
Amazing.
Blank.
I love that your money has been going
there was a huge leak. It like rained, and it was raining inside the train station because it was leaking. And I remember just laughing. Like, this train station was closed for 2 years for renovations.
That doesn't mean that they were working every single day.
It looked so pretty, but
yeah. How many corners did they cut?
Every corner.
Where did they?
It was a circle.
Where did they put that money? Like,
yeah.
You know, you think about this. Like, there's studies and stuff about like how much one train ride, like one train line makes, and it's like it grosses millions of dollars. And where is that going? Like,
to pay the cops that enforce people not jumping the turnstiles,
and the cops that are arresting the churro ladies.
Oh, absolutely, because
this is not the topic that we were going to.
Churro ladies just want to sell their damn churros or their damn mangoes.
My entire life, I've seen these people as some of the hardest working people in my, like, you know, to see them every day, to learn some of their names. There were people outside of my train station who, sorry if my voice is just deteriorating, I haven't talked this much so passionately in a week, you know, where you learn these people's names because you see them every single day. And a lot of the people that at least I've interacted with, these are their livelihoods. Like, this is how they support their families, and it's an honest business. It's not easy whatsoever. It's the hours of preparation to get all your goods together, to cook what you have to cook, to, like, you know, make all these things. And then some of the times, like, there's no other place to drop your children off, so you have them with you. And
some days you might not even sell everything, and it goes into the trash.
Yeah. Or you just start giving them away at the end of the day, where it's like, I'll take 3 bags for $1. Like, you just try your best to, you know, wrap things up so you can go home and have at least a little hour or something with your children.
But it's also crazy, like, with all these bad things that you see in the city, there are good things. And, like, somehow in our tiny minds, those small good things outweigh all the crud that we see day in and day out.
I mean, you always see on the news that New York City is one of, if not the most resilient city on this planet that we live on.
Yeah.
And I don't doubt that in the slightest. Like, things that I've seen, you know, they experience, not to say that other cities haven't gone through some stuff. Because, you know, when you live in a large city, I'm sure the history is rich and there's a lot that goes on. But New York City is just so rich with diversity in both good ways and bad ways. But one of the things that I personally don't think I can ever, like, give up is the accessibility to almost anything that I can think of.
Everything is a train ride away or a bus ride away.
Yeah.
And not even just that. Like, when I'm by my house, the hospital is a 10-minute walk.
Yeah.
The nearest deli is a 2-minute walk. The nearest pharmacy is a 5-minute walk. There's a new crate place that opened, and it's a 8-minute walk from me. There's Mexican food. There's bars. There's a gym. There's, like, everything is within walkable distance. And I can't imagine having to get in a car and driving for 10, 15, 20 minutes to get somewhere.
To preface, we still live in more quote unquote residential areas.
Yeah.
Compared to, you know, the high-rise condos that you see smack in the middle of Midtown, where, like, you have a gym and a restaurant and, like, a sauna and, you know, a grocery store in a building.
And you're on washer dry in
your
apartment.
There are, you know, differences in how accessible, quote unquote, certain things are in the city. And even though we're in what some people would consider residential areas, everything is still within, like, 5-10 block radius. Yeah. I have a park, not even like an avenue, 2 avenues away from me.
Dude, same.
And I don't go. Like, it's amazing that it's there.
Same.
And I think about, like, oh, if I'm to move to this place, like, oh, there's a park nearby, I would go every day. But I live near one and I don't. I mean, I only recently started trying to, like, go and walk and stuff because I'm like, I have this.
But it's the same thing with, like, everyone in the city. Like, someone was like, oh, how could you live in New York City and you've never been to, like, the Empire State Building or the Statue of Liberty? And it's like, I live in the city, so why do I need to go to the Statue of Liberty?
But also some of those things are very novel things to do.
Yeah.
Right? Like, I went to One World Trade with a friend very recently because, you know, they were visiting and it's something they'd never done before. So I was like, okay, you're in the city. What's the best way to experience it? And I had gone when it had now opened because I never got to go to the World Trade Center. Like that happened before I, came to this country. Devastating because, I was like, I dreamt of like going and seeing a city from that high up. It was, it was like a bucket list thing, even though I was really little. But I was like, hey, I have the best idea. This experience is like $50. But it's a view of the city that you will never get again unless you pay like, another $50 for it. But I didn't mind going on this like super touristy destination spot because I'd done it before and I knew that it's one of those things where it's like you get a perspective on the city where it's like, this is where I live.
Yeah.
And it's beautifully chaotic. Like it's so much concrete. Like when you look out.
It's literally a concrete jungle.
Yeah. And you see the patches and the spots of greenery and you're like, oh, it's actually a little more green than I thought it was.
But even like when you're seeing a picture from like above Manhattan, like you've seen the picture and it's just like the green of Central Park, like in the center, and like that's it. And like everything else is like pretty dull and gray because that's...
I mean, now we have like a floating park and stuff, which we gotta go to eventually.
Oh yeah, absolutely. But yeah, I don't know. It's like, it's wild. Like I love this city and every day I'm discovering new things. Like I used to live in Harlem. I lived in Washington Heights and I lived in Harlem for a bit. And then I moved back to Washington Heights. And recently I've had no one to visit in Harlem because my grandparents have retired and they've moved to Ecuador. And they're the ones that I would visit in Harlem. And so now when I go back, all these new restaurants that are open, these new spots, and it's like a whole new world. And even not new restaurants, but places I've never been because there was experiences I've never had. Like I didn't drink bubble tea until I got to college and my friend showed me. And now I'm discovering all these bubble tea places. And then Boba Guys closed down, which I'm still super sad about.
Yeah, very devastated about that.
Please come back.
We love you, Boba Guys.
My sister just got into boba and I was so excited to take her there, and then my coworker was like, yeah, they're closed now. Yeah, so sad.
Very sad about T2 closing down in in New York. That was one of my favorite tea shops. T2, I still love you. If you want to sponsor us, that'd be amazing. I buy so much tea off of your websites, man.
So much tea. And then like even just
also, yes, that's the Australian brand T2. That is the letter T and the number 2. Shouts out to you, T2.
But like even I had a coworker and she had a very different upbringing than we did. She's Chinese, and so she surrounded herself with like everything that had to do with like Chinatown. Like that's where her childhood was, in Brooklyn, and in Manhattan it was Chinatown. And so she took me to all these like super like not well known like dim sum places.
Yeah, hole in the wall places. They're the best.
Yeah, there were all holes in the walls, like, and they were all like empty because they were in the middle of nowhere. Like you have to like cross 4 streets. And it's like
also Chinatown in Lower Manhattan, it's packed
and it's massive.
It's like every which way you turn, like there is a new shop and you will miss something if you're not like
paying
looking
attention. Yeah. And she would take me and we would eat, and then she'd be like, all right, let's walk to the train. And on our walk we would run into a bakery that sold like the like stuffed pastries or whatever. I don't know what they're called, but she's like, you want to try this? And I'm like, yeah, let's do it. And I discovered a whole cuisine with her. And not just that, like then she took me to a Chinese supermarket and she showed me things that I'd never seen before. And she was like, yeah, you only find these things in like Chinatown because they're like imported from China, or like they're Chinese, like mostly known things. And
that's only like 20 minutes away from your work.
And it's only 20 minutes away from my work. And it's crazy, like,
or like on your way home and stuff like that.
I've never explored it before. And now like that is the beauty that is New York City. Like, yes, it's full of crud and it's full of bad things and it stinks, but the culture that you're exposed to is wild. Like
the access to the culture is on another level. Like, yeah, I'm sure other cities have like super cool stuff that we're not aware of, and there are like cities out there that I'm sure are way like far more maintained and clean and well managed and blah blah blah. But even when I have like friends come into the city or like family come into the city and it's like, oh, what do you want? Thai food, Chinese food, Japanese food, Korean food,
like literally name
Ecuadorian
anything.
Food, Argentinian food,
Venezuelan, like, Colombian,
Spanish, like name it and we will find it on a map within like not even like a 30-minute radius.
And now with things like Uber Eats and
Postmates and
like you can literally
DoorDash, all those things, which by the way, any of them want to sponsor us,
I order so much from Seamless
Plus. Yo, shouts out. Love to be sponsored.
But yeah, like it's it's bizarre. It's wild. It's amazing. I can't see myself anywhere but the city. A city in general, but like New York City more specifically.
Yeah.
The only other place that I would ever see myself in is New Zealand, because it's the only place that's going to survive the apocalypse.
Yeah, according to all those articles. So I don't see myself there, but I can see myself there.
Right.
You know, like I can
see my way there.
I can see my way there, yeah.
But yeah, if any of you want to marry me and move to New Zealand, hit me up.
Hey.
Let me know.
We are available. That is, yes. We are
I'm
available.
not picky. I feel like if you've been hearing us for a while or watching us for a while, you know I am not picky. Maybe the standard should be raised a little bit. We'll cross that bridge when we get there. It's a very low bridge, but we'll cross it when we get there. It goes over a puddle. But yeah.
Yeah, I don't know how much of that actually answered our initial topic of why we have Stockholm Syndrome for the city, but it's really special in a lot of ways, and not just because we've built our whole lives here. I mean, yeah, that definitely has a lot to do with it, but it's one of those places that it's like there's no replica of this anywhere else, and I'm sure there's so much more we can get with our money have we just like make the decision to go somewhere where our money can go a lot further. But I don't know, New York City just has a grip on me that's unlike any other city that I've been to, any other city that I've experienced.
If I just get up and move somewhere from New York City, no, I'm going through some kind of mental crisis. Please reach out. Especially if I move to Texas. But because if I'm moving to Texas, I'm having some crazy midlife crisis. But I can pay the same amount in mortgage on a beautiful 4-bedroom house in Texas than I'm paying for my
Harry Potter-esque cupboard here in New York. I know if you're watching this episode, it's a very large amount of irony considering where we are, what our background looks like. But this is an outlier.
We actually rented this space for like $40 an hour. No.
Again, big shouts out to Ash and April. I don't think you're ever going to be listening to our podcast, but if you do, truly thank you for everything.
For real.
But yeah, it's normally we're in our shoe boxes that we call apartments, but sometimes we get to experience really nice things because of really nice people.
Yeah.
So it's all about the people that you surround yourself with and the people that you get to connect with when you're in a city like this. So with all that being said, New York City, I freaking hate you.
But if you want to sponsor us.
But I also love you because wow.
Yeah.
Without this city, we wouldn't have met.
Absolutely.
Without this city, I wouldn't have met one of the best mentors in my life.
Yeah, I often try to picture myself, like if I had grown up somewhere else.
I wouldn't be me.
Like? And that's crazy.
Yeah. Like, wow. Stockholm Syndrome through and through, baby.
Love it. Here for it.
But if you've listened this far, we thank you as always. Hope you're staying safe out there, staying hydrated, and we'll catch you guys next time.
We don't know how to shut up, huh?
Bro, I think we just have so many feelings for this city.